What's up, YouTube? So yeah, if you click this because of the title, you probably already know which AI I used to build my website. It was definitely ChatGPT. I made the site a couple of years ago when this whole AI thing was just starting to get crazy. I wanted something simple, a place online to show my music, maybe make it easier to pitch stuff, and just a spot that felt a bit more official. I didn't really know what was the best way to go about it, but ChatGPT helped me put the whole thing together. And of course, the best part is I didn't spend a dime to do it. Everything was free. So in this video, this is not a tutorial. I'm just gonna walk you through how I did it, how I'm hosting it for free, and what I probably do differently now if I were you, and just kind of using all the newer tools that are out today. So nothing fancy, just talking and showing the process. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So yeah, don't mind the PowerPoint presentation here. This is the best way I could kind of like keep track of everything I'm trying to talk about today. Like I mentioned, I didn't want to pay a lot of money, but I wanted something nice and I wanted something that was quick. So, being aware of ChatGPT at the time, like this is back when it was ChatGPT 3.5. It wasn't the 4.0 or 4.5 or whatever it is right now. So this is like really before most people really knew about it. But I had saw a YouTube video, saw somebody using it to build like a program. So I figured, well, maybe I could use it to build a website real quick. So let's take a look at what it made. So this is my website. You can actually go to this URL, Keysouth. Keysouth is my producer name, keysouth.github.io. It'll take you here. As you can see, it's pretty simple. I got a header with navigation to an about section, music, and contact. If I scroll down, it's a nice hero banner is what this type of like picture in the middle is called. And if we scroll down past that, I got a music player on the left side, and then buttons that control what playlist load. So if I click hip hop, for example, we're going to get a new media player over here that loads different music. If I go to songs down here, it loads a different playlist. So, and if I scroll down to the about section, just a simple about section that, just gives a quick bio of myself. And then to encourage people to stay on the site when they visit and listen to some of the music, I put Foodle here, which is, if y'all remember back in like 2023, the Wordle game that people were playing. So this is basically Wordle. I guess that's copyrighted, so they named it Foodle, but it plays the same exact way. So that just kind of encourages people, if they click play, maybe they scroll down and see this and then they decide to play a full game. So that just keeps them on my page a little bit longer. And then a simple contact form here, nothing too crazy, but it works. And it actually sends me the email if somebody was to come here and type something in. And then we got a footer that just has, all that good stuff that's normally at the bottom of a web page. So how do we do it, right? How do we make this? So let's go ahead and get into that real quick. How I built this 2 years ago. I already went into why I wanted the website, just to a place to put the catalog, somewhere to point people to, and just to look more professional. Like just feeling and looking legit makes a world of difference, let me tell you. So let's talk about how I use ChatGPT to generate the HTML, the CSS. And for those of you who don't know HTML, CSS, that's just what people use to create web pages. So if I go into ChatGPT here, this is the conversation that I had with it 2 years ago. And this is the first prompt I asked it. What type of elements would a simple JavaScript HTML landing page for a music composer have? Ideally, this would be a single page app so that when music publishers look at the site, they can immediately access the composer's music. So, just take a look at that prompt. Pause it if you need to, if you would like to use this just for your own purposes. But this is where prompt engineering really comes into play here. I was very specific with what I asked it, and I'm getting it to create the ideal website so I don't have to really think of everything that needs to go there. And if you look at the answer it gave, it told you everything. It says, web page needs a header, it needs navigation, it needs a hero section, it needs a music portfolio, it needs about the composer, it needs testimonials, contact information, footer. So all the elements that, you know, a web page really needs to look appealing. So with that in mind, like that just kind of programs ChatGPT to kind of think that that's what it wants to create. So what I did next was I just said, hey, can you create this web page with inline CSS and JavaScript using the essential elements you provided above? And then it just basically spit that out for me in HTML. Now at this point, what I had to do was basically take, and you see it doesn't, this was back in the day. So like when it could only type but so much and it would stop. And then you had to actually type continue and then it would keep going. And then it would still mess up and do this. So what you could do is take this and save it as an HTML file, and then you can actually just open it in your browser and see what it did. You know, if something was off, or if something wasn't the right color, or if something was, you know, just not quite right, you would just say, hey, you know, that header is the wrong color. Can you make it this color? And then it spits out the code again. And then you just save that to the same file, reopen it in your browser, take a look at it. Did it do it right? Yes, cool, move on to the next thing. If it didn't, you just tell it to do it again and try harder, basically. So then, you know, at the end of this process, I essentially landed with this. So I had to tell it, I had to feed it the links to my playlist here. I had to give it a link to a picture of myself. I had to tell it where to basically source this game from. So don't worry, I don't encourage you to do it this way. Like this isn't the best way to do it now. I mean, if you want to, cool. You would definitely get more control over the end product doing it this way, but you got to know a little bit of HTML to really get the best out of it. Just to kind of, sometimes you have to know the right words to say to these AI bots to get the best results out. And if you don't know like HTML like that, you know, it's hard to say, you know, what to fix if you can't name the thing to fix. So like I said, I wouldn't recommend doing it this way, but I just wanted to show, you know, this is possible this way. It's a bit more of a process, but you can still get pretty good results. So we'll get to what I recommend now towards the end of this video. But next, let's talk about how do you host this. So once the website is finished, how do you get it online so that you can now share it with the world? So let's look at that next. So how did I host it for the free ski? So if I look at, let me find this real quick. There was actually a pretty cool prompt I used for that. Okay, there it is. Okay, so what I did, I prompted it to say, I asked it, can you list some sites where I can upload this HTML file? That's the file that we put the code it created into, and immediately host my site as a public domain. Please include only free sites. That's the important line right there. So the very first one that popped up was GitHub Pages, and that's the one I went with. I didn't even get to item number 2 in the list because this one was just so simple. So if we click on that, it's going to take you to this landing page here. And essentially all you have to do is make a profile on GitHub. And if you guys want a more in-depth video of this part of the process, leave a comment below, let me know, and I can make that. But I'm gonna give you the Cliff Notes version real quick. Dang, did I just date myself? Is Cliff Notes still a thing? It don't even matter. So all you have to do is, brain fart. All you have to do is make an account on GitHub, and like once you click on this page, I'll put the link in the description as well. You just walk through the steps. It walks you through it. You make an account, you upload the HTML file from the previous step, and you just have to make sure that you make your profile a public profile. And once you do that, you're good to go essentially. So this is free. The only caveat to that is your website is going to have this github.io at the end. I mean, it's not the worst thing that can happen. Free is free. And once you get enough motion, you can just buy your own domain to be whatever you want it to be, a .com or .music or whatever. But for the time being, this gets you up and running. This gets you something to pass around to people, because having a website is better than having no website. So yeah, that's the hosting part of it. So far, everything we've done has been free. We talked about, yeah. One of the good things about this process is you don't really need a backend, right? So this is really just a landing page. Now, if you wanted to like sell merch, if you want to sell records, this may not be the best method for you. But if you just want to get your face out there, this will work perfectly. What we got next? So yeah, how I do it today. How I would do it today. I'm actually rebuilding my website now in Webflow. Webflow is not as automatic as the other tool I'm about to recommend, or as automatic as ChatGPT, but I think it gives me a bit more control over the end result. But for everyone else that's watching this, I recommend using a tool I found called Bolt. There's really a bunch of different AI tools nowadays that you can use. There's Claude by Anthropic. You could really get an entire package with that. Bolt AI is one. It's a whole bunch now, but these are two I would recommend. Let me add this in here. Claude is the one I just mentioned. So with Bolt, the website is actually bolt.new. But if we go here, you see we have a familiar interface, a little chat box in the middle where you can just ask a question. So it says, what do you want to build, right? So what do we want to build? What we're going to do is we're going to take this very first thing that ChatGPT spit out from my example from a few years ago, and we're just going to copy and paste this into Bolt. And what we're going to do is just change this around a bit. So yeah, that's all we had to do. We just added build and then we're going to copy exactly what ChatGPT gave us before. As you can see, it's just going. It's making everything. And if you noticed before, ChatGPT just gave me HTML, right? This is creating a whole app for you to take. So it's finishing up here. Wow. So that's crazy. So, okay, based on that prompt that we gave it, it made this. Look at this. This has everything we asked, right? So it has a header, it has the hero section, it's got an about me section. Like if there was an actual picture here, I guess it just didn't have a link for a picture and it didn't create one. You got links to your work here. What is this? Testimonials right here, a contact form. This is everything you need, right? I'm pretty sure none of these buttons work. Let me see. Okay, I take it back. The buttons work. Let's say who the F is Sarah Chin, right? So let's play around with it, right? Can you make the main colors blue, white, and black? Also, can you use the name Key South instead of Sarah Chin? And then we keep going. Everything that I don't like about this website, I'm about to tell it to change right now. So here's the information to put in the about me section, right? And then I'm gonna find something real quick to paste in. I don't know. Okay, I just asked ChatGPT to make sample bio, right? Okay, so what I expect once I hit enter is for this AI to change the colors from purple and whatever else is going on here to blue, white, and black. Then everywhere it says Sarah Chin, I expect it to say my name instead. And then instead of this information here in the about me section, I'm telling it to put this information there. So let's see what it does. Check that out. So look what it did. So it did exactly what I said. So no longer is it Sarah Chin, it says Key South. This button ain't purple no more, it's blue. If you look at the text here, with a strong online presence and growing fan base, oh, it even put my name in there. That's pretty cool. I didn't even tell it to do that. And you see it's using my name for the image over here. Yeah, I mean, and that's essentially the process, right? So you just keep telling it what you want it to change, and it'll change it. So, like for example, these links here, tell it what your Instagram account is. Hey, make the Instagram link go to this page, and then you copy your page in. Put your YouTube channel in. Hey, make the YouTube button go to this page. Then let it respit this whole thing out with the YouTube. If you use LinkedIn, put your LinkedIn in here and tell it to change that. And you just keep going until this looks exactly the way you want it to. And then once it's done, you just hit this export button. We go back to what we talked about in step 2, pop it in GitHub, and then you have a website made by AI. It took you like an hour to do. It was all free, and that's a wrap. So yeah, hope y'all enjoyed that. I hope it was actually helpful in some way. I mean, please let me know in the comments if any of this information, y'all might use to make something for yourself. So, I mean, I know what it did for me. It gave me a place to point people, like I said, made me feel more legit, help when reaching out to libraries or sync agents, going to networking conferences and stuff like that and saying, hey, here's my website or Instagram profile. It just, well, I ain't gonna say open up doors, but like it just, it's a good thing to have. And anyone can do this now. And nowadays it's even faster and a lot cleaner than when I did it. Like, you really just tell it straight up, hey, I want this here, I want that there, and that's it. So yeah, all right, that's pretty much it. Hopefully this gave you a clear picture of how simple it can be to build something decent without spending money or really knowing how to code. If you've been thinking about putting together a site for your music or anything creative really, this is your sign to just mess around with it. The tools are right there. If you got questions or want to see me actually build a site from scratch using some of the newer AI stuff, let me know. I might do a follow-up. Either way, I appreciate y'all watching. Be sure to leave a like. Let me know in the comments if you like this type of content. And I'll catch y'all in the next one. Later.